Michigan Out of Doors Online is brought to you in part by Mr. Muskie Charters, offering full-service guided fishing trips for walleye, muskie, bass, and sturgeon on Lake St. Clair and the Detroit and St. Clair rivers. Booking information is online at mrmuskiecharters.com. By Tri-County Logging. Experienced in sustainable forestry practices, Tri-County Logging can help you manage your property by keeping your woods healthy and generate income. Serving southern and mid-Michigan for nearly 50 years, TriCountyLogging.com.
We fight the battles no one hears about.
We drop into the middle of firefights to rescue others.
And act as one-man air traffic control towers.
We're the ones who go before all others. Join the fight.
Hi everyone, welcome to Michigan Out of Doors. I'm Jenny Silik and we've got an exciting all-new show in store for you this week. We'll take you lake trout fishing up in the Harbor Springs area on a beautiful evening with family and friends. You won't want to miss that story. And Jimmy's got something else in store for us this week.
Well, that's right, Jenny. We do have a few more things on this week's show, and we actually posted something on social media a few weeks back, and it got a lot of traction. So we thought we would do a story on the pheasant license, or some refer to it as the pheasant stamp. What is that all about? What it is not all about? Lots of good information about what that is here in the state of Michigan. And we're also going to have a good venison recipe for you on this week's program as well. So lots of good stuff. You stay tuned. I'm Jimmy Gretzinger. It's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan, Michigan out of doors.
What a beautiful day in the woods.
Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream. It's a love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Country Smokehouse, a sportsman's meat processor and Michigan destination since 1988. Offers a variety of homemade smoked meats and Michigan-made products in-store and online. The Country Smokehouse features an outdoor barbecue and bar. Details at countrysmokehouse.com. By Alta Equipment Company, providing sales, rentals, service, and parts because uptime matters. From earth moving to landscaping and light construction, Alta offers over 50 brands across 7 Michigan locations to serve you. More information online or 844-GO-2-ALTA. By Polar Craft Boats, offering riveted and welded boats for the outdoor enthusiast. Whether you're targeting fish or waterfowl, Polar Craft Boats have several models to choose from that keep you high and dry. For more information, polarcraft.com. By Angler Quest Pontoons. Angler Quest is a Michigan-based company building boats designed for comfort and fishing functionality.
Last week found me in Harbor Springs in the northwest part of the Lower, climbing on board with Jimmy Spencer, his wife Marcy, son JJ, and friends Mike and Brendan Glentz, and Carson Truman for what looked like a perfect night on the water.
Well, we're just leaving Harbor Springs. We're in Little Traverse Bay in Harbor Springs, and we are targeting lake trout today. So, you know, the plan normally is, you know, Mother Nature has her own plan. So it's a little bit of wind today. We're coming out of the east, so I'm going to change the location of where we're fishing. And this is an interesting time of year to be out on the Great Lakes because we've been shallow water fishing for these fish for last probably 6-8 weeks, and right now the water's heating up. We're getting 2 to 3 degrees a day, and it's actually becoming uncomfortably warm for lake trout. So instead of being in real shallow, they're all starting to slide out. So it's been a little tougher than it normally is. I mean, it can be really good this time of year. Okay. And you know, after watching your show, I know you're going to play it whether we do really well or not. So no pressure there.
Well, Jimmy is quite the character, and things were looking good as we had a fish on before we could even get all the lines in the water. Always a good sign. Nice and thick. Nice job, young man.
Thank you.
When you think of hot west side fishing ports, you usually don't think about Harbor Springs. But from what Jimmy has seen over the years, maybe we should.
So, you know, I'm always surprised because in my opinion, we've got really some world-class fishing here, but if you tour around the marinas, you're more likely to find a golf bag than a fishing pole. But, you know, really, you know, the lake trout fishing is phenomenal. We get great salmon fishing, but they tend to be seasonally, it's July, August, and September before they stage to go up the rivers. So, you know, one of the things that I think great about this area is most of the time we have very good near-shore fishing, so people in small boats are very able to put in and then fish, you know, within a half a mile of shore. We have deep water right up next to shore and good structure, so, you know, even if you're in a kayak, you can figure out how to go out there and catch a lake trout a lot of times of the year. So, the other thing that is surprising is lake trout have gotten a bad rap over the years for not being good to eat, and they're actually phenomenal to eat. And why they had a bad rap was when they were predominantly eating only alewives. It made their meat be kind of pale yellow and greasy, and now that they eat predominantly gobies, they look like an Alaskan salmon. The meat is bright orange, and you know, it's actually wonderful table fare. So not only are there lots of fish in the lake, but they're actually really good to eat. So as people become more interested and realize the resource that's here, I think we'll see more interest in fishing. So, you know, that's exciting because getting people outside is, I think, one of the things that we need to do more of.
Getting folks outdoors is what Jimmy is all about. We will see more of that later as we learn about their family farm. But one thing I thought was really cool is that the kids on board today, well, they were not just here to watch and maybe reel in some fish. No, they were doing the fishing. Picking lures, setting planer boards, running the downriggers, and steering the boat. They were putting us on the fish here tonight and really doing it all.
So these fish are laying right up on top of this hump right now. We're in 82 feet of water. We got 150 feet of water off to the side. We haven't caught anything really big yet, but they're here. And you can see this downrigger's tapping bottom. That's, we'll bring that up just a little bit, but they're right here on the bottom. Is there a fish on that one?
No, I'm just moving slow.
Yeah.
That looks like it's a pretty good fish.
Yeah, it's decent. You know, they fight hard when the water's cold like this. If we had 70 degrees on the surface, as they come up, they get pretty lethargic. But that time of year, we're basically just fishing for kings anyway. So.
Are these all coming off the bottom right here? Or?
Right now, all of these fish that we've been catching are within 5 feet of bottom. But we have been catching a fair amount of fish on high lines this time of year because the water is still reasonably cold. We've got like 58 on the surface, so they are coming up and feeding. Although it's changing really rapidly right now because it's been warm and calm. And so, you know, in the course of a week, we've gone from fishing 20 feet of water to coming out here and fishing them on the bottom. But, you know, the good news behind that is that as the water warms up, we should start seeing some kings show up any day now.
Oh, that's another good size.
Oh, nice! Good job, boys. This
boat is not a charter boat, and you don't need all this gear to try your hand at fishing Lakers. Jimmy had some good tips if you want to give this a try.
Don't let it be intimidating, you know, the amount of gear and tackle that I have on my boat, because you don't honestly need all that gear. It's like really nice to have, and it helps you adapt quickly if you have a lot of gear set up. But, you know, really, you know, all you need to fish these fish is to log onto the weather buoy and see where the cold water is. Lake trout like 42 to 50 degree water, and so you're looking for that cold water, and then you're going to present baits down at that depth. So the gear that we're using is, you know, how do you put a line if cold water is at 70 feet? How do you get a line to 70 feet? And you can do that with a downrigger, a dip sea diver, a copper line, a torpedo weight. There's all these different ways to do it, and so obviously the more lines that you can put in the water, typically the better your odds are going to be if you can present those lures in a way that it mimics what they're eating. So today, last night we were targeting them predominantly with downriggers over a structure. So we were looking at an underwater hill, and they were sitting on top of that underwater hill. So every time we kind of came and we ran our baits within about 5 feet of the top of that hill, we were picking fish off of it. And sometimes it's fish after fish, and other times, like last night, it's, you know, one here and one there. But you know, it wasn't bad fishing. But, you know, we get spoiled sometimes, and we think that if there isn't a fish on every line, it's, you know, it's not great. But hey, it's always fun.
Shooting at how not to net a fish video.
Sorry.
Good old. Right there with the sun setting right behind.
Doesn't get any better than this.
We'll give a shout out to Dreamweaver, Kevin's girlfriend.
As the sun went down, we started to pull some lines, and even the camera guy got to reel in a nice fish. Boy, what a beautiful night. The sun is setting. Probably the last fish of the day. Another night at the office. Well, the night had been a big success. We didn't land as many fish as the crew was maybe hoping for, but with at least 10 fish, we had lots of good fillets for the dinner table. Our trip tonight was really just a bonus. Our main plan was to focus on the next morning. We really didn't get on the water tonight until about 6 or 7. So we headed in and felt good about the fish we did catch and couldn't wait to try our hand at even better fishing awaiting us in the morning. Well, that's where the story took a bit of a turn. We headed out the next morning and were not far from where we got the fish the night before. However, after a few days of an east wind, the fish were not here. So we gave it the old college try, but with no fish to be found, we headed in. But before I left, I had a chance to learn more about Jimmy's family business, Pond Hill Farms.
Yeah, so today we're touring Pond Hill Farm, and we're in northern Michigan, Harbor Springs to be exact. We're about 5.5 miles out on M119, also known as the Tunnel of Trees. And the farm is, at this point, it's about 230 acres. We're growing roughly 30 acres of vegetables and wine grapes inside a big fence right now, and we've been doing this, I guess this is going on 24 years for me. So when I was 17, we decided to turn an abandoned dairy farm back into a farm, and I plowed up a hayfield and started trying to grow vegetables, and still trying. Kind of the core of our business, if we look at how we pay the bills, is we are a cafe, a winery, a brewery, a farm store, and then we grow vegetables as well. So what you see behind us as far as our vegetable production fields is kind of what anchors the farm and anchors our roots in agriculture. And then how do we connect people to the land on the things that are growing and living on it? And we do that through, farm education programs, through our trail system, through a whole bunch of different activities here on the farm. So we like to say that every day is an event at Pond Hill Farm.
Well, I have to say Pond Hill is pretty special. From the gnome hunt, which forces folks to get out onto the trail, to the miles of ski and mountain bike trails. You can try your hand at feeding the trout in the trout pond as well. This place has a lot to offer. Of course, the brewery and vineyard offer a lot of options as well. If you're looking for an adventure this summer, a trip to Pond Hill just outside of Harbor Springs might be the ticket. Oh, and if you happen to see smoke coming from the fish sauna, well, stop and get some. And if you're really lucky, you might be able to talk Jimmy into helping him stock it back up by hitting the water in one beautiful corner of Michigan's out of doors. Well, what we're going to do now is shift gears a little bit, and we mentioned this earlier in the program, but a few weeks back we posted something on social media and it really blew up and got a lot of traction, and that is, what is the pheasant license here in Michigan all about? Some people refer to it as the pheasant stamp, and it's not really a pheasant stamp, but what is it? What does it do? Where does the money come from, and where does it go? Well, we thought we'd sit down with the folks that actually kind of put this whole idea together and learn more about what the pheasant license is here in the state of Michigan. Well, we are here today with Ken Dalton, and Ken, we're here to talk about pheasants and the pheasant stamp in particular. Let's just start off just to kind of get things rolling. Tell me how this pheasant stamp, this whole kind of initiative started, and what was your role in that?
Okay, my role in the pheasant program was in 2016. We're reading Michigan Outdoor News article with Bill Parker, and I saw that Wisconsin was releasing pheasants in their state, and it stirred a spark in me because I saw the hunter decline problem here in Michigan from lack of pheasant hunting opportunities. And so I called up Wisconsin and asked them what was the scoop there. Well, they had actually been in the pheasant raising business since 1936. And in 2016, they were releasing 40,000 pheasants a year. And I thought, man, that's a great idea. So I got a hold of our DNR and asked some questions, and it sparked a fire in me. And world famous bird dog trainer David Grubbs, that's passed last year, he told me if I want to get anything done, contact my legislators, and so I drove them crazy.
Yeah, so tell me about, if someone's watching this and they're not aware of what this is, tell me what the program does. And that first year the funding came from the state, and now this pheasant stamp is kind of funding that instead of coming from the state. But like, where are these birds released, and why are you guys doing this? Is it try to populate those state game areas with birds, or is it try to get hunters more interested in hunting?
No, it's not to repopulate pheasants. We want to make that clear. We support the 3 R's: recruitment, retention, and reactivation. And by bringing these pheasants back to the fields, we can bring hunters back, because we've lost 50% of our small game hunters in the last 10 years, and it's getting worse all the time. So we just Basically, we're not trying to repopulate pheasants, we're trying to repopulate hunters. And you know, I wish we could have wild bird hunting, but that's very difficult in this day and age with urban sprawl and big agriculture taking the market on a lot of properties that used to be pheasant fields. But with our state game areas, nobody can take that away from us. We can enhance that for pheasants and deer and turkeys and hunters.
With other states having success with very similar programs, it will be interesting to see how this does here in Michigan. One of the common complaints that we were hearing was that this was some sort of money grab from the DNR. And I think it's very important to say once again, this was not initiated by the DNR, but by sportsmen.
This was a legislature-initiated program. It wasn't the DNR. The DNR was tentative about it. When we had the legislative hearings, the DNR didn't come out for or against. They said, we're neutral on this. And they told us privately, they thought, well, maybe you'll sell 4,000, maybe you'll sell 5,000 license through the whole thing. So it'll be kind of a real small thing, which kind of translated into, yeah, it'll be a small, successful little program, but nothing to shoot fireworks off about. Well, we're sitting here the end of May, we're at 3,150 licenses sold already, and it's not even, except for the turkey hunting, it's not even gotten into it. So that makes us think that this thing is going to be just phenomenal, and then we're going to have a lot of support for it, and we need that.
Well, we did a post on our social media, I don't know, a couple, 3 weeks ago, and just kind of talking about the new pheasant license, pheasant stamp, whatever term you want to use, and I was surprised how much interaction there was. I mean, literally hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people were commenting back and forth about it, both positive and negative. And one of the things that I heard, and because I think there's a lot of misinformation about it out there, one of which you don't have to have it if you're on your own private land. The other thing was, and maybe you can speak to this, people said, well, you know, there was the put and take program that we had years ago, that didn't really work, and this is the same thing. So explain to the people how this is different from the old put and take program.
Well, this is absolutely different than the old 1970s put and take program in the sense that, number one, and most importantly, the genetics of the birds that are being released are 100% different. They're raised by professional game bird breeders. They're the same birds that you would go to one of these high-priced shooting reserves, and hard-flying, great birds. You saw it when you were out there. I mean, a lot of them got away. They were smart. They couldn't even be caught and shot. So the birds are as close as humanly possible to wild rooster pheasants as we can get. That's the number one reason. Number two reason, as Ken mentioned before, they're released at total secrecy, after hours, unknown days, where in the old days we say, well, we're going to release them Friday morning at 10 o'clock. Well, there'd be people waiting to shoot them at, you know, open the back of the truck, boom. That's not sporting. That's not what we were trying to achieve, and that's not the way it's going to be conducted.
And what do you say to the guy who lives in northern Michigan? He lives in Traverse City or Gaylord, likes to bird hunt, but he's probably not going to travel to southern Michigan to do this. Why is it important for that guy to buy a license?
We want every sportsman, hunter, conservation in the state of Michigan to buy a license, because buying that $25 license, which is really give up 2 medium pizzas in a year and buy that license, it'll put birds out there. There may be a young person that doesn't have an uncle or a grandpa with a farm to hunt on. He's got nothing but state land to hunt on. That'll give that young person a chance to go out and see a rooster pheasant and get a chance at shooting it. Maybe a young woman is thinking about hunting, wants to start with pheasants. We want something for that person to get out and chase. So give up 2 medium pizzas in a year and put some birds out there for people, and it will be a tremendous success.
Now, I know some of the areas that that first came out when we were talking about this, they're primarily southern Michigan and kind of southeastern Michigan. Is that looking to expand? Is it possible to go to the west and north? Or kind of what's the long-range goal?
As far as the release sites, they're gonna stick pretty much to the release sites we had in 2019, which is from the lower part of the state in a band across from east to west. There's some on the west side, there's some in the middle, Rose Lake, where we're at right now. There's some on the east side and more in the Thumb area. So we tried to make it as easily accessible to everybody as possible, but this is the first year. Give us a little bit of a break on that and buy those licenses. As this program grows and expands, like we said, In the other states, I mean, they have upwards of 100 different release sites, and there's one at everybody's, you know, back door. As the program expands, the number of hunters that are participating in it expands, we can do whatever we want to do.
And I know we touched on this before, but when you hear protected money in Lansing, you kind of like roll your eyes a little bit, like, oh, well, that's great that it's supposed to go for this, but they could change it and go to. Can that happen? Can it be taken from that fund for something else, or is it truly, really protected?
No, it's written right into the law.
Okay.
It's part of the legal structure of House Bill 4313 that it goes into a sub-account that is controlled by the DNR, and that sub-account can only be used for the release of pheasants on state land or state-controlled hunting land.
One of the issues that I think we were hearing a lot in our social media interactions was people not very happy that none of this money was going towards habitat, and that was not. You guys wanted some money to go to habitat. Kind of talk to me about what you wanted, how it changed, and how do we move forward?
Well, right. The bill as initially drafted had like 15–25% going for habitat, and we worked with the legislatures back and forth, and we did a little bit of analysis on it. There's a lot of money going for habitat right now. There's millions of dollars every year through Pheasants Forever and other organizations that are going for habitat. This has been ongoing for 20 years. When you look at these figures, you say habitat's great. We support habitat 100%, but let's do something right now, real positive, to stop the decline of small game hunters in the state of Michigan. And that something is to put live pheasants in the field, accessible to these hunters, so that they can buy a license and hunt them.
We hope this segment sheds some light on the new pheasant license here in Michigan. It'll be exciting to see what happens come this fall. Well, hey everybody, we are here once again at Antlers Fireside Grill, Canadian Lakes with Jim Wood. Jim, the temperature's getting nice outside. It's got that spring, almost summery feel. What do we got for a recipe to kind of go along with that?
So we're gonna do a grilled venison burger. One you can either put on your grill outside, you can put on one of your wood pellet grills.
Okay.
We're gonna make a Michigan cherry jalapeno barbecue sauce.
Wow.
We're gonna do a herb cream cheese, and we're gonna serve it on a pretzel bun with coleslaw.
Okay, well, start with the sauce. You're kind of a sauce master, if you will.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So we're gonna start off with our cherries.
Okay.
And this is a sweeter cherry. And then we've got our ketchup.
Now, have you made this sauce before then, like hundreds of times, or is this first time, or?
I wouldn't say hundreds of times. We just recently started featuring it at the restaurant.
Okay.
We've got some dry minced onion. We've got some brown sugar. This is a little bit of liquid smoke, just to give it a little more smoke flavor.
Okay.
Not a whole lot. Then you've got about a jalapeno sliced up.
Okay.
I mean, however,
how spicy you want it?
I like it hot, but I'm not going to give a recipe that's going to knock your socks off. Well, got some fresh ginger here.
Just only in the flavor. Here.
Yes, exactly. Got some Worcestershire.
Wow, that's quite a sauce.
Got some apple cider vinegar. And then at the end, we got just a little bit of Dijon mustard. So we're gonna let that just do its thing. And over here, we basically have one package of cream cheese.
All right.
And it's best to let this sit out at room temperature for, 3 to 4 hours. And add to the cream cheese, we're gonna add some Parmesan.
Nice.
This is Italian seasoning. You can find it in the grocery store. It's basically rosemary, thyme,
mix of everything.
yeah, oregano. You don't have to use this. If you want to use fresh rosemary and fresh thyme, it goes really well. And you're basically just adding this to taste. The dried stuff obviously is going to be a little more pungent.
This is probably going to be a messy burger by the looks of things.
Yep.
Okay, Jim, we've got the grilled venison burger here. How do we put this thing together?
So we're going to start with I used a pretzel bun.
Okay.
You don't have to, but it's pretty good with that. And you're going to take your herbed cream cheese.
So pretty fair amount there.
Yeah. So we're going to take a little bit of that sauce. You don't want to put a lot on the bottom, just a little bit, because it will kind of soak through. And you're going to take your burger.
And as we're kind of getting this ready, Jim, we have had so much fun here at Antlers, but we hear you're kind of moving on from Antlers. Is that what I hear?
I am. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. This show will probably have aired, but as of May 1st, that will be my last day here at Antlers.
Okay. Well, this has been a great ride. This is a great place.
I've had a great time. I want to thank all the loyal viewers for actually, you know, watching and making me think I'm good.
Well, and we'll have you on in the future as well, but this is just kind of a next stepping stone for you, so that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I'm going to take some time, smell some roses, go see some people that I've been promising to see over the years but haven't been able to, but I hope...
And travel with us to do some cooking on the road for us.
Absolutely, if that's my invite. You all watched it. But well, yeah, awesome. And I hope everybody continues to support Antlers. I mean, it's been a wild 7 years, but it's been great.
Well, we've loved our time here. So why don't we finish this thing off? What do we got to do here?
All right, so we're gonna put a little more barbecue sauce right on the burger.
Okay.
Actually, screw it. Put as much barbecue sauce on there as you want. And then we've got some slaw. I'm not gonna leave you with a coleslaw recipe.
Okay.
I feel like every family has somebody's
yeah.
great aunt or grandpa who makes a great, just use
Kentucky
it over coleslaw.
Fried Chicken makes a good one. You know?
Actually, their mashed potatoes are pretty good too.
So a little bit of slaw. That looks good. So what is the official name of this dish?
We're just gonna call it a venison burger with cherry jalapeno barbecue sauce, herb cream cheese, and coleslaw.
Thanks for joining us this week for Michigan Out of Doors. Make sure you stick around in upcoming weeks. Lots of exciting things headed your way. We'll take you up to the Traverse area fishing for Cisco, down to St. Joe for a day of fishing with some veterans, and over to Saginaw Bay for some walleye. If you'd like to see where we are and where we're headed next, you can always check us out online.
Well, that's right, Jenny. Online, always a great way to kind of keep tabs on us. You can do that through our website, our social media platforms, as well as YouTube. Lots of ways that you can check us out. Make sure that you are joining us next week here on your PBS station. We have a lot of brand new stuff coming up over the next few weeks. And if we don't see you in the woods or on the water, hopefully we'll see you right back here next week on your PBS station.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by...
Do you dream of somewhere bigger than your backyard? You can get there with Greenstone. Whether you want to hunt, fish, hike, or just watch the sunset, we're ready to help you own your place in the great outdoors. To learn more, visit greenstonefcs.com.
Closed captioning provided by Marvo Mineral, makers of Lucky Buck, deer management products including minerals to supplement deer diets year-round to improve health and antler growth.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene like rainbow trout in a hidden stream. The white-tailed